This episode contains discussions of the afterlife and religious trauma. Listen at your own discretion. It is Saturday, the 10th of August, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. We're over 100 episodes in now, and we're only just getting to talking about another one of my favorite bands, Quiet Company. I don't know how, I just have so many songs to talk about. I'll keep forgetting to talk about certain artists, but this is a band who I kind of stumbled across. Hey kids, remember Groove Shark? There was a website called Groove Shark. You could stream music on it. It would recommend you music, which is why I tried it out. And if you made an account on it at whatever point in time this was, I guess it would have been like early 2011, Quiet Company did a promotional thing with Groove Shark where when you made an account, they would be like, hey, here's a free download of our new EP. And I was like, sick. I have never heard of this band, but I will listen to this free music, sure. And I ended up really, really liking it. And then it wasn't until a bit later that I discovered that EP was actually the first 6 songs from the album We Are All Where We Belong, which came out later that year, which is interesting to me because the EP, like the first 6 songs are actually a great set of songs. Track number 6, Fear and Fallacy Sitting in a Tree, the way it ends is actually a great ending, so it worked well as its own thing. But the whole album is this complete thing that it works as an album. Basically, the whole kind of conceit of it is that the band were Christian, or at least the lead singer was, and a lot of the lyrics they weren't exactly Christian rock, but they had a lot of Christian themes in them. They would reference Bible verses and stuff. And then he started to have a crisis of faith. Taylor Muse is the name, by the way, which is a great name. He had a crisis of faith and started to kind of doubt his own beliefs. And the album We Are All Where We Belong was kind of described as a breakup album, but instead of breaking up with a woman, it's breaking up with religion. And the whole thing is this kind of back and forth debate on whether religion is worth it and whether God exists. And it ultimately comes to the conclusion that it doesn't matter what you believe as long as you're happy and you treat other people well. That's kind of the conclusion it comes to. I will probably be talking about a lot of songs from this album because I love this album a lot and the message it gives. Today, we're going to be talking about the song Preaching to the Choir Invisible Part 1. What do you think happens when we die? There are parentheses for every single song on this album, I think. So I will be reading those out. And tomorrow we're going to talk about Preaching to the Choir Invisible Part 2. For now, let's go listen to Preaching to the Choir Invisible Part 1 and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. Well, there you have it now. So this, I feel like, is where the album kind of kicks into high gear about its themes. This is the 3rd track on the album, and it kind of spells it out pretty explicitly here. This song is about how you don't need to waste your time believing in something that can't be proven. You should spend your time believing in something that will bring you joy. And it does that by referencing a lot of different Bible verses. I'd like to thank whoever edited the Genius page for this song because they did me a favor by looking up the verses for me. But yeah, so it starts off with, so you say you've got a peace about it. Well, I propose you could live without it because we'd all love to invent the mystery and we'd all love to deny the history. But love leads me on, lets me say what I think, that we all belong to the earth and the sea. You say the truth sets us free. Sounds good to me. Yeah, like making peace about these beliefs, but him saying like, well, you could live without it. You don't have to have these beliefs. You've made peace with it, sure, but you don't need to have done that in the first place. You know, love leads me on, lets me say what I think. Love is my driving force, my morality, you know. Now, we all belong to the earth and the sea is likely a reference to, there's a bit in Hebrews 11:13 that says that Christians are foreigners and strangers on earth. There's a bit in Philippians 3:20 that their citizenship is in heaven. So this idea in the Bible that Christians do not belong on earth, they're supposed to be in heaven, and earth is kind of their in-between state is kind of the implication. And so he's saying here, no, that's not true. We all belong to the earth and the sea. Like this is our native environment. This is where we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be in heaven. We're supposed to be here. That's what life is. That's what we're doing here. And that kind of becomes the theme of the album. I mean, this is the song that name drops the album, right? We are all where we belong. And that's the theme that he's saying here is that we belong on earth. We're not strangers here. This is where we belong, and God shouldn't think otherwise. And then you say the truth sets us free. Sounds good to me, right? Again, a reference to the Bible, John 8:32, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. In this case, it's supposed to be about the truth of the Lord, the good news, right? But he's saying here that the truth will set us free. That sounds good to me, because the truth is that it doesn't matter, or that it doesn't exist. The truth does set me free, and the truth is that there is no afterlife. afterlife. There is no God. I can live for myself. I can live for my own life. I can live my own life. I can live for my own feelings and my love for other people. Then you get open up the pit as he swallows or spits, and I swallowed that shit for so long. Now what should I think of faith? It ain't noble or brave, and I don't need to be saved or chosen. So the swallows or spits thing, first of all, will obviously immediately bring to mind blowjobs, swallowing or spitting. But it's also a reference to Revelations 3:16. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am about to spit you out of my mouth. There's this whole idea, I think it's in Dante's Inferno as well, of people being put into a beast's mouth to determine if they go to heaven or hell, or I think in Dante's Inferno it's to determine which ring of hell you go to. So it's this thing, open up the pit as he swallows or spits, like, you know, being judged and being sent to hell or heaven, right? And then I swallow that shit for so long, so making a pun on it, and I'm like, you know, accepting the bullshit. I believed it for so long. What should I think of faith that ain't noble or brave? I mean, just straight out saying it, he doesn't think the faith is a good thing here, and I don't need to be saved or chosen. It's so prescriptive. I don't need this to save my life. The only person who can save my life is me. I am the person who determines that. I don't need religion to do that for me. Love leads me on, lets me say what I think, that we all belong to the earth and the sea. You say the truth sets us free. Well, it calls to me, and it offers no empty promises, because there's probably nothing more than this just today. So he does another thing on that truth sets us free line, where he says that the truth is calling to him, and it offers him no empty promises, because it's the truth. It's not lying to him. There's probably nothing more than this just today. And that feels pessimistic in a way. It feels nihilistic, that idea of there's probably nothing more than this just today. It's like, well, there's nothing more. There's no afterlife. We die, we die. Like, it feels kind of defeated, but it's performed in such a way where the kind of the way it builds up with the just today, like, it feels very kind of joyous, like celebratory, like we have this moment, we are here to experience this. And then it goes, so can you see that we are all where we belong? And then he repeats the we belong. This is where this, I mean, originally EP, but this album really caught my attention, you know, because it explodes. I was saying this last week. When I was talking about fragments. I love when singers get suddenly loud, and Taylor Muse, he loves to do that. You'll notice this when we're talking about other Quiet Company songs, but he loves going quiet to loud in songs, like I think is it The Confessor, where he goes like, and I've got an itch to scratch. Like, really, but he does it here where he goes like, so can you see that we are all where we belong? Like, he really belts that out. He screams it more. I just did kind of a falsetto, but he more kind of like, we belong. Like, he really just belts it, and I love when he does that. He's really good at it, and it really adds a lot to the passion of this song, because he has that whole note about, oh, there's no afterlife, and then he's like, we are all where we belong. This is what we're supposed to do. We were put on this earth to love each other, and we are where we belong. And I love that as a message for this song and for this whole album. This is kind of the mission statement of it. The second song kind of reflects back on it a bit as well. Obviously, we'll talk about that tomorrow. But this one in and of itself really just sets up the whole thing and really makes you think about it. Now, it comes across quite harshly and bitterly in this song, and rightfully so. The other songs, it really does kind of give an even-handed look at it, because some of the songs are more aggressive than others. Obviously, he was quite angry, and I was expressing that a lot in this album. But he does, like I said, he does end up in a nicer place. I mean, the last song, well, the second last song, is from God's perspective. So he's kind of using God as a tool to tell people, like, chill, it's fine, everything's good. But we'll talk about that one whenever we talk about that song. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. Musically, it's just, like, it's a good rock song. And like I said, I love the way it builds up there with the just today, and then we belong. Oh, and I love the trumpets as well. This is something I love about Quiet Company, is the brass. I do love that. I love that sound. And then the big, oh, it's like a big stadium sound. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about this one today. Tune in tomorrow for part 2. Thank you so much for listening. Please leave a like and a comment and hit subscribe and tell other people about this show. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
And Taylor Muse, he's a cow. Taylor Muse, Quiet Company. It's so fucking stupid. Um, some sort of pun about divine and bovine. I don't know.